Do it live. Do it live. We'll do it live. Good lord. Mhm. What? Are we live yet? What? There it is. I heard audio. I think so. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, let me switch my settings here. No?
God, Streamlabs. Motherfucker, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Streamlabs
Yes.
likes to reset my mic every single freaking time. Every
It does that
time.
junk
I
to
don't
me.
even know. Oh my god, annoying. Okay. Streamlabs, fix
Technical
your shit.
difficulties.
Fix your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's right.
anyway, let's try this
Oh.
again. Hello and welcome to Waking Up with Nana and PepPep. I am Arugs from the internet, and this is my lovely co-host, Sean.
Aw,
where we talk about growing up in the Southern Baptist Church and growing up and the religious trauma that we experienced and how we deconstructed our faith and are reconstructing ourselves as functioning human beings, or at least attempting to. So, here's our disclaimer. Hey, here on Waking Up with Nana and PepPep, we do not hate on faith and religion. We actually think faith and religion is a very beautiful and wonderful thing when done in a mentally and emotionally healthy way. And sometimes that is not necessarily how it is done. We are not licensed therapists or counselors. These are just our opinions and our experiences, and what the tools and resources and thoughts that we use to try to maneuver through our healing and our life. If you need any type of help, if you need some type of counseling or just help in general, please reach out to us. We do have resources that we can get you in contact with to get the help that you need from licensed and certified professionals. We also have our charity, which is Fight Against the Sadness, where we any donation toward that charity or any of our merch, which we actually happen to be wearing at the same time today, like it's a fun thing. Anything that you buy will go towards Mental Health America. And if you buy any of our merch for Fight Against the Sadness today, this weekend, it all goes towards our wonderful BSBN charity that we are doing. And that we'll go into that in a minute. Yes, Youth Pride Association. We're going to go about that in a minute. I have a button, John. I made a button.
John.
I have a button. Look, I have a button. Anyway.
John.
But you're welcome. But thank you, John. I appreciate it. So I made a button. I wanted to test it. Okay.
Oh.
Gotcha. So yes. So this is just our opinion. We do sometimes refer to the Southern Baptist Church as a cult. Some people ask us why, and it is because if you look at the descriptors of a cult, a list of things that do, there's a lot of things that the Southern Baptist Church does in their doctrine that actually align very, very well. So we will also refer to as that. Yes. So a lot of this is very personal trauma. A lot of this is us just building a community on growing up as ex-Christians and as ex-fundamentalists, and just trying to find our way later in life. So here we go.
Yep, absolutely.
I have my little rainbow headband. So today we are talking about Christianity and the Alphabet Mafia. And for those of you who don't know, the Alphabet Mafia is the loving nickname that that TikTok and social media has given the LGBTQ plus community, because they just keep adding letters. And so at this point, it's just everything with the... Yes, it is. Everything with the queer
Hmm.
community. So with that, we are talking, the reason we are talking about that this week, and we've touched on this in some of our other episodes, but we are specifically focusing in on this one, is because we are doing our charity. You know, a lot of BSBN network, the crew members, they started and did this charity for the Youth Pride Association. The Youth Pride Association is an nonprofit organization that helps students and youth who are struggling with not only coming out, struggling with who they are, and those kids and young people who don't get the support that they need to feel safe and comfortable and in just their life, in their bodies, in their life, in their sexuality. And you would think, hey, it's 2022, you know, everybody, it's pride and everything. You would actually be very wrong. And I know this one because I know this personally, but I also know this because I have worked in the educational system, and not long ago, I've actually witnessed these type of youths not getting the support they need in the schools and by their parents and just by their peers. And it is a very sad thing. And I'm so proud that we are doing this, and the BSBN is all about community and learning to embrace who you are and yourself. And so John and I posted in the chat, if you can, please donate any amount of money,
Hmm.
$5, give up that cup of coffee today, or, you know, that whatever it is, $5, $10 goes a long way. Look, we are at $724 right now. Our goal is yours didn't post. Mine did post. You just came in the chat later. Boom. I posted it when
All
I
right.
first logged in. Bah!
It's just gonna be dueling posts. That's all this
It's gonna
is.
be duly posted. I did post it. You just came in after I posted
Yeah, you were
it.
late.
So anyway, those we will be posting that link in the chat variously throughout our podcast. So hence the colorfulness for our I am
Hmm.
bisexual. I had came out a couple year officially came out a couple years ago. That actually is a very big deal. It is still a little nerve-wracking. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Hmm.
But it is something that is very important. And not getting that support and not having that safe space, I completely understand. So donate, please help us reach our goal. And you know, thank you for all those people who have donated thus far. I know you've done it, you know, for the antics, but you've also done it to support a great cause. And we deeply, from everyone here at the BSBN, we deeply appreciate everything that you've done thus far to help us raise money for this organization. So
Yeah,
I know. I'm so excited about that.
that's amazing.
And
Yes,
look, John,
our
I have
community is
the
awesome.
bar. I have the bar. I
Right?
put it
She
up.
has
Look
the
at me.
bar.
Look at me being all
She
techie and stuff.
Hey, and she raised the bar too. Look at that.
I did it all by myself, John.
You did. She did. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right,
So
Sean. So
yeah.
exactly what are we talking about today? Why don't that's your job.
All right. Well, I was gonna say that it's easy. You kind of touched on this. It's easy in 2022 to think that social discrimination and family rejection is not as big of a thing. That youth that want to come out and are struggling to do so, that's not as big of an issue because we are in 22 and it's more mainstream than it used to be. But it's still, especially in certain areas, especially in the South, which and we grew up in the Southern Baptist Convention, church that belongs to the Baptist Convention. So this is a big, but it's not just the South. It is anywhere, and so it's easy to it don't just go, well, it's why are we doing this? Not a big deal. It's still a big deal. It's still very difficult to say those words and to admit. It's one thing to admit it to yourself. It's another thing to admit it to other people, to your family especially. And so we want to make sure we provide that support. Um, because I can tell you, so Arugs is a member of she is biased, so she's a member of that community. I'm not. I'm an ally, but I'm a little ashamed to say this. But I've only been an ally for like a strong ally, or really an ally for a couple years, because I grew up in the church, and I drank the Kool-Aid. I drank a lot of the Kool-Aid, and it affected a lot of what I did through much of my years, especially early on. So it wasn't until the last couple years that that I've really understood the impact of what I did, and how the things that I thought and the actions that I took affected people. So it's tough for me to sit here and tell people I was a bigot. I was one of the reasons people youth had trouble coming out and being open about who they are. So yeah, there's that. So growing up, so we have Roots and I have very different perspectives on this, because it affected her directly because she was in it. She's a part of it. It's part of
Mhm.
who she is. I am on the outside. Uh, It's not who I am, and so, but I was taught a lot of things. I was given the Kool-Aid. I was indoctrinated to believe certain things, and so we come at this from a very different perspectives.
Mhm. I always knew I was into girls. Now I know I like it's like, well, are you just lesbian moving on? No, I like guys. I like them both. Hence the reason I'm bi. I mean, I'm like I like them both, but I knew from a very young age, like really young. Now, I liked girls. I thought girls were pretty but I was raised in the church. And so I was taught that those type of feelings were very wrong and very dirty, and that was an abomination on your soul, and that was probably one of the worst sins, that one of the worst afflictions that
Mhm.
you could have,
Yes.
and that it was a choice. You are choosing to
Yep.
have these feelings, you are choosing to live the lifestyle. So I chose, like any other good Christian girl, to perform the heteronormative and compulsive heterosexuality. I'm like, it's
Mhm.
just a phase. It's just a thing. And I never mentioned I never really openly talked about it. I never really openly, I was just, it was a sin. It was bad. And when a lot of my friends in the, not a lot, but I mean, several of my friends in the youth group came out as gay after they left the church. And it was one of those devastating things. It scared me because I watched them lose their family, their friends, their support system. And then, and it was just one of those frightening experiences. And so I spent all my life not having that support, and yet still being in the activity that I was in, I was in the band world. And so there are gays everywhere, like, so still being in that
Mhm.
whole, I was an ally for a long time. Like, I still wasn't being honest with myself for decades. Like, I was an ally. I like girls, but it's just I literally convinced myself that it was just a kink. It was just a fetish. It wasn't something I was like, well, I'm just curious. It's just a phase. It's just something like, even it's never late to come out or become an ally. You're right.
Mhm.
It is never
Yep.
too late. We are definitely, we are proof. We are
Proof of
quintessential
that.
proof of
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I
Yep.
did not come out until I was 37 years old. And it was, or actually 38, because it was last Pride.
Mhm.
So, 38 years old was the first time I openly and publicly admitted that I was bisexual. And that was huge for me. And I still, to this day, I say that I'm bi, and I'm starting to get more used to that, but I still have that clutching, debilitating feeling in my stomach, and I'm 38 years old. So like, I think about
Mhm.
these, myself as a kid growing up in the church. And I also think about these kids that we are, that the Youth Pride organization helps. Hi.
Hey, Bear.
That YPA helps, and these kids who come out, and I know that fear, and I know that loneliness, and it's just debilitating, and just how
Mhm.
struggling with just who you are, and at a time in your life were, especially for me, like I was in church, I was going to be a good Christian girl and I was going to marry the good
Mm.
Christian boy, and I'm not allowed to like girls or like there was a lot of that. There was a lot of trying to pray it away.
Pray the gay away.
I was trying to
Yes.
pray the gay away
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and identify
Oh,
as
Kelly's
single.
here.
Hi, Bonnie.
Mhm.
Bonnie is also is a very big ally. She is
She is.
she supports, she donates a lot of money to organizations, which I love about her. She's great. So Blue Ellie, if you want to donate a couple like $5 to our Youth Pride Association
Yeah.
charity, that would be. I prayed away the
Prayed
straight.
away this.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I
Wow.
love it. So yeah, it was very much a fear, and pray it away. God doesn't love
Yeah.
gays. God hates gays.
Yes.
That was literally
Oh
what we were told.
God.
God hates gays.
Yeah. You can. That's one of the things. But growing up in the church and trying to come to grips with that at that age, and to be told that that God hates who you are, because that's pretty much that's what it's telling you, is God hates you. And
Mhm.
you're supposed to be, so you're trying to you're supposed to be who you are, but you can't, so you're trying to reconcile. And there are people, especially when we were growing up, you could not reconcile. They would not let you reconcile being a Christian and being gay. You absolutely couldn't. And the people that I went to church with, and people that I went to church with up to recently, are still see it that way. You cannot reconcile the two.
Yeah. And
Eh,
that's the sad part, because that's where a lot of they taught you how to hate yourself
yeah.
in that,
Hmm.
because that was like the one thing you couldn't. I mean, yeah, pray the gay way, and it's a choice, so you can convert, but
Yeah.
what it is it's
Yep.
teaching you to deny. It is teaching you to disassociate that part of yourself, and to just,
Hmm.
it's not saving you, it's actually hurting you, and it
Yes.
breeds this whole different part of like, I'm unlovable. It's always like
Hmm.
this, I have this stain. I always have this dirty little secret that no matter how good I am and how faithful I am or how much I love God, I'm never going to
Hmm.
be lovable because I have this dark,
Yes.
dirty little secret.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
And you're constantly, and it's something that's constantly on your mind. It's always there, because it's who you are, and that creates
my
anxiety.
goodness, make my head itchy.
That has to create anxiety and depression, and really hurt your mental health when you cannot be honest about, you can't even be honest with yourself about who you are, much less be honest with anyone else.
It was it's hard because I was so, that was one of the main, I mean, one of the main reasons why I left the church, is because
Mhm.
I had these feelings. I was this person, but I was told not to be this person. And for a long time, we, Sean and I like to pro tip to take them folks to a drag show and ask them to not be impressed. Right? I actually have a
Mhm.
former student of mine who is a pageant drag queen, and he is amazing. I love him. He's fantastic. I'm asking for makeup tips. Like, um,
That's awesome. Mhm.
where was I going? I got distracted by the drag queen.
Right. It is quite, it can be quite distracting. It's very impressive though. Mhm.
Yes.
But no, well, that is one thing. Growing up, I was taught to look at that very negatively. Like I said, I was one of the reasons that youth had trouble coming out, because I was staunch against that, against, especially against anything drag, against the LGBTQ community. It
Yeah.
was there. It was and at the, I think of it as, how does the church get you to believe, how do they fight the gay agenda? That was a thing. Fight in it. How do you fight the gay agenda? There was
The
always an
gay
agenda.
agenda.
Like, Yeah, it's like when you call it the alphabet mafia. That's actually
Yeah.
that's kind of taking control and taking some power away from the perspective that the church often had that I learned, which
Mhm.
was there's a gay agenda. Like the gay agenda wants to take rights away from straight people. Which when you're like when I think about that now, I'm like, what the heck does that mean? And so at the crux at the what the foundation of all of that idea is that it's a choice. Oh, they choose. People that are
We
gay
got a
choose to be gay.
donation.
Oh, we did? Oh, we
Yeah,
did.
from
Sweet.
Simon Phoenix. That was
Oh,
I'm sorry. I saw the number go up and I was like, I don't have any alerts. I can only
yeah.
do so much. So, but
Yeah.
I have it pulled up right now. So, thank you for the
Coming for your
donation.
head. Yes.
We're
You
coming for your heterosex. We're gonna take your
Yes.
women. Yeah,
You're gonna
well, if you,
well, I mean, I've seen the TikToks. Yeah.
well, I mean, you're not wrong, but
Right. I mean, so yeah.
yeah, the
It was
gay
always a choice.
agenda and that whole this abomination. It sucks even harder that there's Judeo-Christian
Oh, hey,
in
Danny.
society. Yes, yes, exactly.
Right?
And that's exactly
They
right. And it seeps into every part, and you don't realize how
Mhm.
deeply those views like seep into just common culture.
Yep.
And that is one of the like I was saying that's one of the big reasons why I left the church because the more I started to I because I was I was in band and I started meeting more gay people and more just
Mhm.
more people of the community and I realized they were more loving and accepting and just welcoming and I
Right?
could no longer fight that cognitive dissonance between what I was
Mhm.
believing in my faith versus what I
Mhm.
was actually experiencing and though like you can't and I kept fighting it and fighting it and fighting it until I finally came to the point where I was like this is wrong. They are absolutely and 100% wrong because I knew so many gay people who were just wonderful. And these people
Mhm.
that were supposed to be the good people are actually quite awful. And I'm sorry, I couldn't do it anymore. And I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? I can't. I can't follow a faith that hates as much as I was taught to hate. And as much as I was taught to hate others and as much as I was taught to just hate myself. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't. And so, at 18, I was like, and I did a brief stint in college. I did my
Yeah,
brief
you
stint in
did.
college. And then
You had a phase, but it was a different type of phase.
it was that phase of, well, I missed the feeling I felt. I missed the feeling of having that deep faith in God. And
Mhm.
then I realized, oh, then you get reminded
This
when I
is
got
why.
told, yeah, I got reminded when I'm like, 20 something, it's like, oh no, men are superior. You need to submit. And I
Mhm.
went, oh, and there it is. Fuck you. Like and then I'm
It's
out.
it's like when you date an ex. You miss your ex and you start dating your ex again, and then you start to realize why you broke up
Guy,
in the
there your
first
ex.
place. That's it. This
Yes,
is
that's
why they're your
exactly what it
ex.
was. It was a
Mhm.
relapse. I
Yeah,
relapsed in
you
college.
relapsed. You relapsed. But then
I
you saw the light.
Yes. But I need to know something, and I'm asking you this as somebody
Mhm.
who is queer, is bisexual, and grew
Mhm.
up that way. And I always knew this about myself. Um, First off, I'm a band geek. I literally went to school for a band, so you can say "ew band" all you
Mhm.
want. It's not the first time,
Pro
but it's fine.
mm-mm. Professional
um,
band geek right there.
I am a professional band geek. I got paid to teach band. So, I have to know what what fueled you growing up in the church. Like you were in the activity with me, like you like and I knew like
Mhm.
what were you holding on to? What was this that you fervently believed and Like, I have to know because that was not
What
something I ever held on to in regards
what
to
fueled
homosexuality.
what
And
fueled the bigotry? Is that what
yeah.
you're asking? What fueled the bigotry, pretty much?
I was trying to be
What
nice about
fuel?
it.
No, no, no. But you call it what it is. That's what it is. What fueled the bigotry? What
Mhm.
fueled the viewing homosexuals as less than? What fueled that dislike, despising? Ooh, keep them away from me.
Mhm.
Um, One is I grew up in it. And I didn't have the same feelings that you did. You at one point realized, wait, you're questioning stuff about yourself. So you're like, so you quickly go, wait, this is a problem. There's a cognitive dissonance here, and you resolved it. Or I didn't have that. I didn't have those questions. So there was not that part of me that went, something's off. So I just kept drinking the Kool Aid. Um, Everyone that I surrounded myself with was part of the church, was almost always part of the church. And so you're getting this from like-minded people. When everyone around you fear, yes, it's fear of what it's fear of like they're gonna rub off on you, they're gonna affect you, fear of what the fear that they're taking away your our heterosex or whatever. Yeah, it's these ridiculous fears that when you grow up in it,
Sean,
I
I'll
know.
steal your girlfriend. I'm stealing John's girlfriend. What do you
You're already doing that. Yeah, but
want?
is it stealing when when they're given willingly
I
and
guess
and
not.
go willingly?
Fair.
Eh. But this is why we talk about it as a cult, because when you grow up in it and it's all you've known and everyone around you believes the same thing that you do, it just kind of compounds it. So until you experience something. See, willingly, exactly. Until you experience something to the contrary, something that contradicts that and makes you start to question it, you just keep drinking the Kool Aid. And I'll tell you, the first thing that made me start to question it was the girl that I dated in high school. Her brother, her older brother, is gay. Was is gay, yeah. Um, and was had a long time partner, and so I still kind of like kept at a distance. Like I didn't really associate with her brother or anything, but it was the first time where like because she came with me to church several times, and the reason I know my church, the pastor liked to slip in the whole gay is an example of sin, gay is bad, as not just a message about it, but they slip it in, was because she would come to church with me a lot. And it caught in my head every time they did that because I knew it made her uncomfortable because her older brother was gay. And she's like, my older brother is not a bad person. He's not an evil person. And so I felt that I was like, ugh. And so that feeling started to stick with me a little bit more. I was like, maybe this whole evil thing is maybe they're not that bad. But I was still surrounded by the people that kind of believe the same way, aside from her. And this is where we
And
get to
here's
what you said.
okay, I'm gonna
Mhm.
interject something. I know that
Sure.
we try not to because our ADD gets us off track very easily,
Oh, it does.
but the way you said that, they're not
Uh-huh.
that bad. Like there
Yes.
is something being gay means that
Wrong.
you
Mhm.
are an entire different species, an entire
Yes.
different, and you're not just like it's not they're that bad, and that's a very disassociative speak. It's
Mhm. The
maybe
pronouns that are used.
Yeah, exactly. It's maybe
Mhm.
being gay isn't bad. Like that would be the way to say it to where it's
Yes.
that's a very they're not that bad is a very disassociative other
Mhm.
them versus us, church
Yep.
versus gay. Like that's very
Mhm.
much the speak and the language that they teach you. And
Yes.
I know that and I'm very hyper aware of that because I had to change my verbiage. I had to be
Mhm.
very aware of how I address that, especially, when I started actually tiptoeing that line of coming out, I was like, it's no
Mhm.
longer them versus me or them versus church or whatever. It's not a versus. I am
Mhm.
part of that group. So I need to
Mhm.
start understanding and being inclusive, not disassociative. And
Yes.
that
That's a very
is
good
very
point.
much so.
You're right.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That is that no, no, that is exactly the point. Um,
Fans are a different
you
species and you
should
should
be
be.
afraid. Because 'Cause they'll take your
No,
boyfriends and your girlfriends.
they'll take anyone. They'll be like, just get
Right?
in my basket and we'll go. Like,
Yeah, we're just gonna go.
you know what? I'm all for
Take
it. All
one of
right.
you, and I'll take one of you, and so remember I said choice. Choice is a foundation of the ability to discriminate. Because
Mhm,
when it comes to things like racism or sexism, you can say, well, they don't have a choice about their sex, they don't have a choice about their race, but they have a choice about their sexuality, their sexual orientation. So if they have a choice about it, then they're choosing to do this thing, to live in sin and to be bad, to be these, they're choosing this
mhm.
lifestyle. So it's easy to discriminate when they choose to be a certain way. That's why that's one of the strongest arguments. So, well, it's their choice, so they can they don't have to be that way.
And what I don't get is that here's where the argument when I especially I approach my very anti-gay friends and or I
Mhm.
don't call them friends anymore, but when I was transitioning into being more open and having even before I was out, I was an ally. And I'm like, how can you say to someone that they are beautifully and wonderfully made, because that's what the Christians a lot of
Mhm.
say. And there I know for a fact, because this was one of the Bible verses that I used to comfort myself, is I knew the plans I had for you before you were even conceived, and like
Mhm.
all of those things. Like, if God made you before, if God knew you before you were in the womb, if God
Mhm.
created you, if you were a creation of God, and
Mhm.
and you were gay, God made you gay. It's not a choice. It's not something I woke up one
Mhm.
day and went, sure. Like, that's
Let's
not
do it. Yeah.
just like I
And when
didn't
you
wake
think
up
of
one day and say, "Hey, I want to be female," or "Hey," I mean, and there's some people that do, and you know what? Good on ya. Like, let's
Mhm.
go shopping. But
Yeah.
you don't wake up and think one day, "Sure, why not?" It's not
Mhm.
that. It's just who you are. It is
Mhm.
just who you are. And they hate it. They're like, no, it's a choice. I'm like, but
Yep.
yet you preach how God made you, how you were God, you are a creation of God. And I am choosing that, which is where they're like, that's why it's an ultimate sin, because you are going against God.
Mhm. Yes.
No.
Yep.
No. God made me this way. If I still believed in a God, if I still believed in Skydom, I believe that God made
Mhm.
me this way. And you know what? I'm still wonderfully
Yeah.
made. So fuck it.
Yes.
Look, I got a little
Exactly.
hair. Look,
And
even my hair is like, fuck
there
it.
you go. Oh, oh, wow, your hair, even your hair's like, I'm done. Forget this. Screw that. John, you're correct. There's a big flaw in the whole "it's a choice" thing. Um,
Mhm,
so so people are consciously choosing to be straight. There's also the um, considering all the discrimination and all the fear and the anxiety and the depression that comes with it. Why would someone choose to do that, to accept that, to be that, knowing that they're facing all of that? That's ridiculous. The whole "it's a choice" doesn't hold water. But it's pushed so hard because it's at the crux. Because if it's not a choice, it's hard to discriminate against people. It's harder to justify discrimination against people when it's not a choice. So, um, one thing you said earlier is that you started to meet people. You started to meet a lot of people in the community, a lot of and suddenly you realize they're not evil people. That started happening to me when I went to college. But I was still actively drinking the Kool-Aid, so I was still actively furthering my mindset. So it wasn't it started to loosen a bit more, but that's why don't remember what podcast it was that I talked about. One of the most important things you can do as a youth is
mhm.
to leave the area you grew up in when you, like, if you go to college. travel somewhere, go spend time, go experience something that's not what you're used to, because when you don't experience that, then everything that you've learned, all that mindset and that culture that you've learned just keeps precipitating. And sometimes, and if it's and a lot of times it's in a bad way. Like if I had just stayed in that town, I would have just kept going with that same cycle and that
Mhm.
same bigotry. Um, but I went and experienced something different and realized, yeah, that stuff that I was taught, maybe not. Maybe it's not real. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's not accurate. Maybe that's not really how things are.
Um, I remember several times. I remember the first time I kissed a girl, like kissed,
Hmm.
like romantically kissed them. And I was about 15, and it was like my first, and actually it was my first, like I had met her at band. Imagine that.
Of course, of course.
And of course, and she was the first openly out teenager that I had associated with or that I knew. Like a lot of people I knew were older that were my dad's friends or whatever, but she was the first openly lesbian, like very proud of it, very
Hmm.
like comfortable in her skin, which I was very like envious of. And I remember kissing her for the first time and literally the panic and self-loathing and the just, I mean, she was wonderful. Like I still follow her on Facebook. Like she's, yeah, but you know, she's married. Her and her wife are like roller
Hmm.
derby. It's great. It's she kissed
Hmm.
a girl and she
I
liked
knew
it. I
some.
did.
I knew
I had
someone
that as
would
my
do that.
ringtone for a long time, and everybody was asking if I was a lesbian. I was like, no, I'm not a lesbian. No. And I was like, I should have just
You
known.
should have just embraced it.
I should
Hmm.
have, but
Yeah.
I remember the panic, and I at 15 I was still in the
Hmm.
church. Remember, I was
Yep.
still involved, so I liked it, and I had these feelings and these emotions, and I didn't have that support system. I didn't have anyone to talk to,
Mm-mm.
and I was wrecked. And I was wrecked because, like, then all of a sudden I felt like I've had this just I was just never gonna be clean. I felt dirty. Like that seems to be the theme of the Southern Baptist Church. Let's make women feel as dirty and used and awful and as
Yeah.
downtrodden as possible. And that becomes part of who you are. There is no,
Hmm.
I feel loved and uplifted and like,
Yeah. Well, it's
you
because
know
it's
why
easier to
they
keep
have all
you
the live,
under.
laugh, love signs on their door? Because they need to be reminded that they have to live, laugh, and love, because otherwise you're going to look at them and they're going to be like depressed and sad. Like they have to remind themselves that they have to, like, because if you
Hmm.
were really living, laughing, and loving, you wouldn't need a fucking sign to, anyway,
That's
gonna,
correct.
gonna go.
Uh-huh. You get on that
Good.
soapbox.
Sorry.
Hmm.
But there was,
That's what. Yeah.
yeah.
When you grow up and it's easy to discriminate against. It's easy to agree and move on and continue on with it. And it was awful. I look back at it and go, oh my god, how did I try not to I try not to blame myself, or try not to like think of myself as, oh, I'm an awful person because of what I did and how I believed. At the time, I didn't have any. There was nothing else really, especially up until the girl that I dated. There was nothing that said. I was just repeating what I was taught. I didn't know any different. Um.
No, she
So
wasn't wearing
and
cherry
it's
chapstick, Calvino.
okay. Was it orange, peach?
No, but
None.
she was a bassoon player, so it's fine.
Uh, oh, is it true what they say about bassoon players?
Double reads, it's fine. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh my god.
I think though, Sean, it's one of those we both look back on that because I was sitting there in denial. I was sitting there in
Mhm.
my life for most of my life. Again, I didn't publicly come out until a year and a half ago, a year ago. And
Mhm.
wow. um
Mhm.
I I thought it was just I literally convinced myself that it was just something, it was a kink. It was just something I was into. I convinced myself because I still carried around that trauma and that fear that if there's no way I could be bi. I'd
Yeah.
say, and we're seeing this the correlation. I just would like to point that out, that a lot of people in our generation, our age, and a little bit younger, that grew up in the church, that grew up in that
Mhm.
big evangelical church going movement that we had in the 80s and 90s, and now we're leaving the church and we're becoming the evangelicals that we are, that a
Yep.
lot of women and men are coming out as bi, and not
Mhm.
gay, but they're coming out as bi and admitting to the public and being very it saying, I'm not straight. I like both of them.
Mhm.
And how there's a
Yeah.
big, they're saying the bi wife energy, and how it's like this, it's just a phase. It's not. And they're like, well, how can you be bi if you're married to a man? That doesn't make me any less bi. That doesn't, it's just one of
Mhm.
those, I just ended up marrying a man, and that's okay because,
Mhm.
love men and I love my husband, and,
'Cause bi means
whatever.
both. So
But we weren't
and you can
allowed
only
to
be
be
married for
that.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, and you
you're
can
right.
only be married to one person unless you're poly, and even
So
then you only can be married to one person,
legally
and
married,
that's
yeah.
like legally married.
So it's like a flip of the coin, right? But yeah, that's
Great D101
when you
episode.
grew
Oh yeah.
uh,
That one. I'm Pan. I'm bi. And we're going on. Man, happy
wow, that
Pride.
was anticlimactic.
And even Jay was like, that was the
Great.
most underwhelming coming out ever.
Yes, it
But
was.
there's a lot of us who, and you, like Sean, you left
Mhm.
the church and you're straight, but then you're coming
Mhm.
out and you're coming to terms with the fact that, oh, well, I was fed a lot of misinformation and I was led to believe, but it's one of those, I think it's important for a lot of people to hear your people like you who are like, I
Yeah.
was this person and it is possible for me to
Mhm.
learn how to love, and love in
Mhm.
and support in an accepting way, especially to this community. Um,
Yes.
it's important to see,
Be
I'm an ally, say I'm an
Mhm.
ally. I understand, you know.
Yeah. And what I'm still working on, kind of sad to say I'm still working on it, but I'm still working on is publicly a lot of people on a lot of people on my social media are people that I grew up with, people from the church that I used to go to, people that I went to high school with, and to come out and say in a public forum that I am an ally and that stuff that I was taught when I was young, yeah, that's BS. No, that's not that's not what I believe. That's a tough thing for me to post something that is shows that I'm an ally. That there's still a moment where I'm like, should I post it? Should I not post it? What are people gonna think? I'm not talking about friends. I'm not talking about people that I'm still friends with. I'm talking about people that I grew up with that I don't ever talk to. That's still there, and it's kind of like I hate that that's still there. I'm still working on that. Um, so it's not as simple, and unfortunately, it's not as simple as going as just like flipping a switch. Because all that stuff, I mean, I'm talking 40 years of believing this, even though it's not like it was when I first, when I was younger. It's still there. It's stayed with me. That's the thing, when you learn these, when you're taught these things so early on, they get ingrained in your brain. That's a brainwashing. So that's why we refer to it as a cult, because you really, oh, your screen flashed, is because of it's like, yeah, it's like brainwashing.
Wiggle my mouse.
Sorry, I was looking at your screen and your screen flashed, and I was like, "Oh crap, did we go offline?"
Again.
No, it's still up.
Okay.
So,
Well, and I still to this day, a year later after, oh, thanks,
oh,
Nev.
thanks, Nev.
Yay. I still to a year later, now I'm trying to I'm trying to be more vocal about I'm bi. I am trying to
Mhm.
be more vocal about that, but still, I say that and I feel like an imposter. Like, I feel like that's not
Mhm.
okay. Am I saying I'm bi? Is that a choice? Like, is that a choice? Am I choosing to be bi? Am I choosing to identify as that? And it's one of those, I'm not making a fucking choice. That is who I am. And but when
Mhm.
you're raised and you literally, again, the church is so great at training you to self-gaslight. When you
Yep.
are told, no, you're straight, you're straight, you're straight, you're straight, you're straight, you're straight, you just have these tendencies, you just need to ignore that. And you get to the point where you're like, no, I'm straight. No, I'm straight. I just, girls are, whatever. Or I'm straight, but it's fine, but I'm straight. You So that when for
You
me to
gaslight yourself.
identify, right, and so for
Mhm.
me to come out and identify as something other than being heterosexual is a little
Mhm.
nerve-wracking. Is a
I was
little
reading I was reading Nev's actually statement. That's why I laughed for a second. I was reading Nev's statement about
to the
we're
best
the best
religious
religious
trauma.
podcasters.
Yay!
I didn't see that at first, and I was like,
I didn't
"Oh,
either. I was like, "Hey, Nev."
yeah."
I was like, but it's very hard. And I came out
Mm,
at 37, 38. I
yeah.
can't imagine what it's like for some of these young people, that
Mhm.
these young people today that are coming out. And I actually got sent a couple TikToks where this I think she was Mormon though. She's a
Mhm.
teenager and recording her dad just berating her for coming out. And I love you,
Mhm.
and this is a choice, and it's TV, and it's blaming everything except, and she was just wrecked. And when I
Yeah.
became single, I found both FetLife and fetish groups and grinder men who were living straight lives but looking to sneaky gay sex. Right. You were taught to
Mhm.
be dishonest. You were taught to
Yes.
lie to yourself and lie to others and just
Mhm.
this double life and how it
Yep.
wrecks you. It does wreck
It
you
does.
for it.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. It's so difficult. And I was watching these young people, and which is why I'm very adamant of when John and Jay they and Hope said, "Hey, we're going to do this charity stream for Pride cuz Charlotte Pride's in August
Mhm.
for the Youth Pride Association." Like, I was all about it, and I'm like, even though he's like, you weren't a lot of work, I was like, I'm working 60 hours a week, so I have
Yeah.
I'm doing what I can. But because I know what it's like. I know what it's like for these kids. I've watched these kids when I was working in the school system be in freaking tears. I know what it's like when they walk through my office door and I can like they are like a trans kid. They are a trans kid, and but the adults are like, "No, we're going by their official name." And I, being the one adult in the room, going, "How would you like to be addressed?" And writing that name
Mhm.
and writing it down just for me, so that when, and it just, I know what it's like just to see having that one person that they know just accepts them. And the fact that the, YPA is doing that, and it's amazing. And these kids need that support. And it's not just religious trauma. It's just trauma in general. Like,
Yeah.
they're parents who don't understand and don't get that. And it's okay that
Mhm.
that that they don't believe that and that they're not gay. What's not okay is them not loving their kid regardless of their choices.
Yes.
They're who they
They're
are,
still
and
your kid.
they're still your
Yeah.
kid, and you love them, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
And the fact that they're
That's the
choosing to
part.
come out that
Mhm.
young, fucking brave as fuck. And that's fucking
Yeah.
amazing, you know?
Mhm.
Coming out younger,
Absolutely.
whereas in me in my 30s, I've lived my life. I've come to, I've put up with the trauma, but they're like, "No, I'm not gonna live my life this way." That's fucking brave.
That is.
Choosing to come out publicly and be who they are is fucking brave. And I think that they need it, everybody needs to hear that.
And
Them being
to
who
be
they are.
introspective. I can't
Yes.
imagine being that introspective and that brave and to be able to make a bold statement like that. I struggle with this stuff at 40 and 42. So, just
No,
what are people
that's
going to think?
trauma. No, you struggle because of trauma. That's different.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, it's true. But instead of holding it in and then lying to yourself and finally admitting it 30 years later, they're doing it now, and it's still not easy. And so yeah, you're right. That is very brave to do that.
The church the church in this aspect, it was one of those the church made me afraid of myself.
Mhm. Mhm.
It made me afraid of losing everything by embracing just who I was. And people and I did surround myself with people, and maybe you're right. Gay, they say that gay is a choice. It's all worth all the monies in the world to help prevent any kids.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. That's why we're here.
Yes. Mhm. Absolutely. Like I I I have seen the look on these kids' faces when when I chose to, my bosses be like, "No, we're gonna go by their birth certificate name." I said, "No, I'm not." And they just to have just somebody in their corner. And even that, even if you don't have any money right now, yes, we want you to
Mhm.
donate. Please donate to this charity. Please, we're raising money. Please. We are actually $250 away from our goal.
We are
Like,
so close. Yeah.
we are so close. Like, share the link out with your friends and your social media. Please do it. Please. And like, we are so close to our goal. We have 34 hours. We can do it. We can do it.
Mhm.
But even if you don't have, maybe you're in a financial situation that you can't do it. I can tell you from somebody who grew up in a church and grew up in an area and grew up in a time when any type of anything that wasn't heteronormative and was bad is just the simple fact of being the human that is there going, I love you and how I accept you. And that's a big thing, especially for these kids and these youth and just people in general. And I think it's just as important for the adults that are coming out later in life because they've spent a lifetime pretending and trying to be somebody they're not. And they're just as terrified in a different way.
Yeah. Yep.
And John's right. We are very lucky that we have a community like we do. Like the BSBN is a
Mhm.
place of love and support, and they don't care who you love or what you're into. Like, just be a good
Mhm.
human. Just don't be a dick. And
Right?
even if you're a dick, be a
Yeah.
funny dick. I mean, like,
Mhm.
I hate the fact that God was used as a weapon when it came to
Yes.
homosexuality.
Yes. Religion has this is why we say we don't hate religion or we don't hate faith. We're not trying to say faith is bad. What we're saying is we're talking about the things that happened when we were young, and that and still continues in in a lot of areas, the weaponizing of religion to push. There was so much talk about the gay agenda and no talk about this fundamentalist agenda. This whole the gay agenda was really just I want to have rights as a human. That's what the agenda is. I want to have rights. I want to be recognized as a human. I want to be able to love who I love and marry who I marry and have a family. Like it's about being human, right? The fundamentalist agenda that we grew up in was all about taking away rights from other people. It's a very different thing. That's where the problem was and still is. I mean, as we see with Roe versus Wade, or with the it's it's still a problem. So we're out here trying to bring attention to this and bring support because it's still something that needs to be done. So something that
Let me make it incredibly clear as we are closing this. One,
Mhm.
Sean and I grew up in a very strictly fundamentalist evangelical upbringing. And what we were raised in, how we would believe, or not how we believe now. So it is possible for people to address that is a choice. That is
Yes.
a choice. The choice to
Mhm.
be understanding, loving, and caring is a choice. And so the
Mhm.
thought that, oh, well, these people are never going to change is not true. They
Mhm.
can if they want to. They can if they
Yes.
choose to. What is
Yes.
not a choice is somebody's sexual and gender identity. That is not
Mhm.
a choice. That is who you are. And that is the big difference. Kindness and compassion, you can change your mind. You can, and you can be remorseful about how you acted.
Mhm.
Sean's a prime example. He is very much. And for somebody who lived as it alive for so long, it's like I didn't just all of a sudden become bi. What I did is I decided I made a choice to be honest with myself. So I didn't
Mhm.
just choose to be gay, which is how it seems. No, I was always that way. What I chose is to stop being dishonest about my sexuality. And you can choose to be kind and compassionate and loving. And the way we were raised in the church was very much the opposite of that. We were told that it was a choice. Sexual and gender identity was a choice, and that we were
Mhm.
built for one man and one woman and one sex, and that's how you were, and that is how God made you. No, God made me exactly how I am.
Yep.
And it is also very much possible for you to be a Christian, or
Mhm.
you can be in the Jewish faith or whatever and still be gay. You can still believe in a God and have faith and have religion and still be gay or
Mhm.
trans or whatever. Like, you can still be those things. You can still
Yeah.
have faith. Those are not two separate
Mute.
things.
They're not mutually exclusive.
They are not.
Nope. We were raised that
And
they
not
were,
two.
and they are not.
Exactly, Don
Mhm.
Daryl. So
Yep.
we want to make that very clear that people, and especially for those who may still be dealing or may be afraid to come out or maybe are struggling with something, and they think that the people that they love will never change, or they think the people that they love will never understand. Will they probably be a little, I mean, and I can't say that for sure, but don't count them out either. Find yourself a support system and understand that people
Mhm.
can change, but they're, just don't count them
They have to
out.
choose, but they have to choose to.
They do have to
As
choose.
someone as someone who spent most of my life looking negatively at people in the community, it is possible to change, but it's also it takes when you grew up in it, like I did, it takes a lot of effort to change. And I still catch myself. There's times where I catch myself thinking something from that I grew up believing or feeling something like, why am I feeling that? Where did that come from? Because I know that's not how I believe. And I have to think about it and work through it and realize I'm still dealing with that trauma. I'm still dealing with that brainwashing, and it takes a lot of time and it may never go away. So people, they can change. Your family can change, your friends can change, adults, but
And
it's not easy for them either.
if they don't, there are community and people that love
Mhm.
you. Come join the BSBN. We'll love you regardless.
Yes.
You want to
Absolutely.
you want to identify as a puppy? Well, I'll take you. Like, I'll take you to the groomers. I don't care. Like,
Mhm. There's a podcast for that.
there is a podcast for that. But what I'm saying is that, just it's for anybody trying to come
Mhm.
out. I know for me, it's hard, and it's not instantaneous. And I still deal with the religious trauma and the self hatred
Self-doubt.
and this
Yeah.
self
Oh,
doubt.
yeah.
But I'm slowly coming to that. But
Mhm.
it is what it is. And you know what? I'm just going to deal one trauma at a time and one
Mhm.
small victory at a time. And wait, Arugs will adopt me. Bark, bark. I will.
Oh my. Mhm.
The biggest thing
it
is
John's. Mhm.
John's what?
I was gonna say John says, "I know many, many religious people who still love no matter who you are,"
Yes,
and absolutely right. Yes, there are
absolutely.
lots of people. Mhm.
So, yeah, I think what it is that the Alphabet Mafia is all about just fighting for love and
Mhm.
acceptance and humanity. And as much as they are actually fighting for that, whereas in Christianity, certain Christian denominations say they're fighting for
Mhm.
that when it's really not that case. So,
Mm-mm.
you're not a
Nope.
puppy, you're a whole wolf there, sir.
All right.
Hashtag spawn puppy. Um, so,
Yes.
if you can, please, actually, don't please share this link. Share it on your social media if you're here. Um, do it. It is, Youth Pride Association is an amazing organization. It
Mhm.
is definitely something that we believe in. If you know somebody, regardless of age, be it youth or adult, and they have recently come out, or you can sort of tell that they're struggling with maybe their gender or sexual identity, even, just say, I love you. And
Mhm.
regardless, whatever it is, I love you and I'm here for you. I think that that's a
Yeah.
very big thing that I know I need to hear on an often basis. It's okay. Be you. And that's why that's a very big saying in the LGBTQ movement. Be you. Be you.
Mhm.
And that's very important. So hey, Sean,
Yes.
thanks for
I
not being an asshole anymore. I
I mean,
mean,
I
at
still have
least
my moments, but it's usually about something different.
and you know what?
Mhm.
I appreciate just you. I think you've been very supportive in this, and all of my BSBN crew, and John. When John and I came out together, we came out holding hands.
You did,
Yay!
and we all were like, "Yeah, uh-huh, yeah, yeah."
And okay.
All right. So what are we playing tonight? That's yeah.
Yeah. So the church, growing up in the church, taught us a lot about homosexuality and hating ourselves and gay is bad. When in reality,
Love
gay
is
is
love.
great. Gay is great.
Mhm.
So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's
There we
about
are.
it.
There you have it. Mhm.
Yes. There's our
Final thought.
trauma. There's
There's
our
our trauma.
trauma.
Yes, there's our trauma. Laying out our trauma.
Laying out our trauma. So, I guess it's
Thanks
time.
for joining us. It is time.
Hold on.
What are you doing?
Okay.
What?
Here
What's
we go.
happening?
Oh, what's happening this week?
Hey,
What are we
Ruse, what are
doing
you
this
doing this
week?
week?
Y'all would think after this such time you would have figured out.
Mhm. Just
So
record it and we'll loop it.
you're right. Tonight, thank you for being with us for Waking Up with Nana and PepPep. If you are so inclined, actually, no, don't be so inclined. Please do it. Come join our Discord where you can follow all of your favorite BSBN members. That's where you can get our schedule, our community. We have a great new Discord manager. He's awesome. And so our Discord's going to be revving up, some fun and exciting things there. Join us. But tonight we have BSBN Gaming, and that is
We
at
do.
7:30 East. No, it's 8:30 Eastern, 7:30
For the East
Central, and that is
Mhm.
on any of these channels. I don't think Miko's going to be on there, but
We
yeah.
gaming. We don't
So
know what we're playing, but we
we're
gaming.
gaming, and then right after that, it is Arknor After Dark with our wonderful Nev at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. I love watching Nev game, and
He is
he's
great.
just amazing.
And you never know what he's gonna play.
Nope. It's lots of fun. Lots of fun.
Mhm.
It's always something. He's just one of those. He's like a sleeper. He's like you just never know. He's stealthy.
Never know. He might sing for you.
I know.
He might
I
fix
know.
your car.
um, maybe.
He played mechanic. He played the mechanic simulator.
Oh, I
Mhm.
missed that one.
Yeah.
So, Monday at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, we have Talking with Auntie and Unc with our wonderful Miko, and that's with Miko and Glitch. And then immediately following that, it is D101 right there on Dondero Streams with me and the Dondero. He has to do Glitterbeard because he got that for.
He does.
He has
That's
to do
right.
Glitterbeard on Monday, so show up for that. And then right after that at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, right back here on Arug's Happy Hour, where we wind down from our weekend because it was a rough one, and our Monday with Arug's Happy Hour. Probably not because he's sick.
Okay. Oh, that's true. You're right. All right.
So it's with me, Sean, Dondero, and our wonderful Shep. So that's when you wind down on your Monday. So that's the next 2 days. So like, subscribe, follow us. If you can't, you know what? Here's what I'm going to say. Take whatever you would subscribe to my channel and donate that to the charity. I would rather take a month where I don't get subs, and I would rather give that money to charity. I can, subscribe to me next month because but right now that's where I would be at. So,
or I could offer a challenge and say, for every person that does subscribe, I will match that as a donation.
Do that, I guess.
I can do that.
Either way, give to our charity. Give to the Youth Pride Association. Support this organization. Support this community. Support these kids. Support the people that you love and you care about. So, yay!
Yay! Oh, wow. Awesome. Boom. There you go.
Sean, you might have just opened up a can of worms.
You know what? That's fine. If that's what it takes, I'm totally for that.
All right. So if you subscribe to my channel, apparently they're Mames, Sean will match the donations. You have 33 hours.
Yep.
So
you can do it.
Thank you for watching. We love you all. I'm going to go, and I didn't shut off. I didn't shut up before the goodbye. That's very exciting.
You should probably end it right now before.
We're going to go. Bye. We're going to go. Before 9.